What's good, guys? So I've been meaning to get back in the gym. That was my thing for 2022, was actually being back in the gym. I know it sounds like everybody else. It's like, oh, I need to get back in the gym. I need to get back in the gym. You know, the first year people. So what was that called? The resolutioners. Yeah, the resolution people. You know, I believe in health and fitness. I believe that your body and your mind being in the best condition it can be in helps you be a better person. Also helps you in your daily activities. With me and my job, it helps me tremendously staying physically fit and active and flexible and everything. So take you guys along a ride with me to the gym, do a little chest shoulder workout, get a little bit of filming in there, and then we'll go work on the Z. So we'll see y'all at the gym.
Yep, come on. Come on. Drive.
What's going on, guys? We're back again on the Fender on my Z. Just wanted to actually give an update and explain that I didn't realize until I went back and edited the video that when I put the waterproof casing on, I did not realize that the the casing was going to make that big of a difference. I just didn't want sparks getting on my lens. So I put that case on there to just help with that, and I don't know why I have that on. So anyways, sorry about that. Couldn't really hear anything on the back end of that video. So I just want to go briefly over that as well. I'll turn this back on so you can see. So basically this is where we're at. So this is where we're at. We have gotten the main structure finished now. This being welded in properly. Get on the other side. This being welded or tacked in is shaped properly. I still have to pull this out towards this face to blend it better. I am going to re-roll this section here with my English wheel just to smooth it out. And then I still have to figure out how to correct and fix the inside of this. I didn't know if you could hear in the other video, but basically this side is a little shorter, or sorry, not shorter, but is more forward in the car just because of the structure right here. That actually is the back side of the strut tower. The reason that is because that's where the battery used to sit. Now my battery is in the back of the car. The strut tower I couldn't change or didn't want to change the geometry on or anything like that. So we just have to compromise and make a different size fender liner. I'm really looking forward to knocking this side out and getting it to the other side. I will show you guys that other side here in a second. And yeah, so this time there is going to be a little more video in it, speaking in it. I am going to speak a little bit more in this video, explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and just give you guys a better understanding of what I do to make this happen. So just hang out, enjoy, sit back for the ride, and I'll catch you guys in the next clip. So for those of you that don't follow me on my Instagram, this is the completed Era Fender side. This is a driver's side. There's still some things here and there that I need to touch up on it, like right in here there's a weld joint that needs to be finished. Again, a little more welding, a little more sheet metal work that I have to do, but the overall structure of the car is, or the fender is completed and shaped properly, so the wheel clears properly and gives me full rotation, full lock. Tire doesn't touch anything like that. So we're kind of putting a hold on this side, and I'm going to knock out the other side to get it to this point, and then we'll use a little bit of panel bonder and get these fenders prepped on the inside and outside before we go to the primer stage and get into the body work of it. So a little bit of a hairline crack right there I gotta fix as well. As far as the engine bay goes, you guys again may not have seen it on my Instagram or not, but I originally cut out the transmission tunnel so I can fit my T56 back in here and the LM7 5.3 liter V8. So I have all the photos for that. I did not time lapse or anything, so you can kind of see the old engine bay now. Cleaned that up, rounded it off a little bit. I'm going to come back and use panel bonder and just clean up that seam, clean up the edges around here and on the inside as well, just to give it an overall smooth look. So whenever I go to do the body work, it'll be nice and smooth and clean. The inner liner is fully ground now. I just got to, again, use some panel bonder. This is old sheet metal, actually. Get that taken out. I'll get that in a minute. But just went through and re-welded it all and cleaned it up, came back with a grinder and cleaned off the weld. So I'm going to do a little bit of a dent correction and panel correction with a hammer just before we take it over the English wheel and finish cleaning it up. What's going on, guys? Here back again on the Z. Working on the Aero Fender again today, and I had to take a little bit of a break from it. I had a couple of things come up and I had to step away from the car. So this is a couple days later. I'm going to finish out what I started, which was I left you guys off with grinding the welds down and cleaning everything up. Broke one of my burr bits to help clean up the weld on the bottom joint by the rocker panel. So I had to go get a new one, get it replaced, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So today what we're going to do is pull the fender off and use English wheel and get the fender in the shape that it needs to be, and then test fit it, put the wheel on, double check, make sure it doesn't scrub just as is. If it doesn't, great. Well, I'm going to throw both the front wheels on and then lower the rear down, lower the front down, and see how it sits. And I know that there's not going to be any weight on it, so I'm going to take the sway bar loose, and I'm going to take the coilover, couldn't say it, coilover loose, pull those out, or pull the coilover out, so that whenever I lower it down I can control the height with the jack and make sure that nothing's going to scrub. So that's the plan for today, and I look forward to many more episodes with you guys. You know, I'm pumped to be back on the channel, back on the Z. So many great supporters, from my girlfriend to my father and my mother and everybody else that has seen this car from day one and now to where it is. It's really a good feeling to have you guys behind me. So stay tuned. I'll keep you updated as I go, try my best, and we'll see you. God, I really need to work on these outros. Hey, you get it. Probably wondering what I'm doing. So I'm cleaning my wheel off. This is an English wheel, if you didn't know. But basically what this does is cleans up my surface so that whenever I put a piece of metal in here, I don't get any kind of trash, imprints, or anything on it while I'm wheeling. So I was just taking a little bit of Scotch-Brite 3-inch pads to clean up the wheel a little bit and clean my wheel and my dolly up. So this guy needs to go this way. I need to get some gloves. Stuff short. Come back in my wheel off. Probably gonna start about right there. Not quite touching. I'm probably gonna go from this side. That in there, get readjusted. All I'm doing is just working the metal back and forth. I'll move the camera here in a second so you can see my wheel path. But I'm basically just moving the metal back and forth in between the primary wheel and the anvil to give the metal the shape that I'm looking for with the dolly that I have in there. clean those dents up for me that I put into it the other day. So I moved the camera for you guys so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So basically what I'm doing is holding the metal, and I want to hold it parallel with the wheel, or sorry, perpendicular with the wheel. So the dolly, the force from the dolly is being applied to the metal instead of me actually pulling the metal and making it to the shape that I want it to. So whenever I'm doing my runs, I go straight back and forth, but I'm giving it a little bit of angle as I go so that I'm moving the metal in a way that the dolly is evenly touching every single square inch of this sheet metal. And that's what gives it the shape. So as you roll it, you can smooth out the metal and you'll start to see those lines being created. And that's the dolly pushing the metal from the underside. Hopefully I don't smack the camera doing this. But I'm just applying very light pressure. I don't need to reshape it. I don't need to do anything like that. I'm just applying very light pressure to get the dings and dents out that I put in it the other day, trying to get the shape that I wanted. So there you go. Now you can see it. It's all nice and shiny and straight and true. There's no more dings in it. Now I'm gonna have to do this section in here. So I'm gonna have to flip it over so that the dolly is actually pressing on this side of it. I am going to clean this up real quick, get some of these tacks taken down so I don't mess my dolly up. And I'll start on this side. Alright guys, so now we're gonna work on this corner. Get the wheel over on that corner. And yes, I love hardstyle. Hardstyle is one of my favorite music compositions that I enjoy. So I'm gonna do nice and easy, nice and light pressure, because I, like I said, don't want to deform the metal whatsoever. I just want to kind of help it take shape. I'm just going nice and easy. So it's a little bit of a tricky corner to do because it's multi-dimensional. You've got a little bit of a radius coupled with the curve and all the welds and everything. So this is actually proving to be a little bit of a challenge. I am going to add some weight and some pressure to it. So adding a little bit of pressure makes the wheel come into the top, or the anvil, sorry, come into the wheel a little harder to help give it a little better shape. Again, like I said, I'm not trying to put a huge amount of curvature into this guy or anything. I'm just trying to smooth it out. Now I'm going to go this way and work on it. I'm actually going to take pressure off of it because, as you can hear, the weld's catching and it's not very happy. So just walking it down and back. Again, just trying to work that shape into the fender. I'm not trying to force it. I'm letting the metal do its thing. Just trying to get the majority of the shape into the fender the way that I want it. And this is a lot of physical labor. Anyone that tells you body work is not physical labor is lying to you, or they've never done it. So I'm trying to get into the green a little bit, the old paint, to again elongate the curve, smooth it out a little bit, and then we're going to switch dollies. This is a very sharp dolly. I should have started off with a different one to begin with, but we'll take the curve first and then we'll come back and do the cleanup. So again, relieving the pressure because the weld is interfering. There we go. I'm sure that's rattling you guys like crazy, but I'm fairly happy with it. I'm gonna add a little bit more pressure to this section here as we go over it. Switch back to the long. Now I'm still gonna have to hammer and dolly this a little bit by hand after. Just trying to, like I said, give it some shape without doing too much effort. There we go. I'll take the GoPro off the mount here and show you guys what I'm talking about. So you can see it now, it's all nice and rounded. There's a lot of work to be done still, filling in cracks. I got a hole in the middle right there, which I did not see until just now. I guess the sheet metal got too thin and I blew through it when I welded it. So I'll be using a technique I'll show you in a second to fill that up. And then what we're going to do is clean up that top section, clean up some of these welds in here, and work on this top section, bringing the fender to the new metal, and overall working it again, you know, more hammer marks. I'll clean that up with the hammer and dolly and get that straightened back out. So grind off these welds up here and then fill this guy in down here as I pull it towards the fender. Alright guys, so here we are with the fender. Again, like I said, I found a hole. And you can actually really see how nice and smooth this is now in the lighting after rolling it. There's a little bit right here that I'm gonna have to go back and correct, but in here everything looks good. It feels good. It's nice and the transition is perfect. I'm just going to go back and fill this hole and probably run just a light bead in this area to fill it up. Probably continue it down a little further as well and fill that one, and I'll probably take on this as well to try and fill up. Since I have it here, I do need to bring this up just a little bit. And that's just, whew, don't do that. That's just excess metal that's there from me making the template. So that's all gonna get ground out back here. Same up here. Whenever I make this piece to go in here, I'm gonna grind this down flat to match the curvature of it. And then I'm going to make another piece to come in behind all this and be just one seamless piece. And that way it won't look like it's 9 million different pieces from the backside at least. So this is brass. For anybody that's ever welded before, they know this trick. Basically you put brass on the other side of where you're trying to weld and you can build a puddle up on it. And it basically creates a non-weldable surface so that you're not welding another piece of metal or anything to the material that you're trying to fill. So you can plug this hole just by simply holding this piece right there, and then I'm going to take the torch and just walk it back and forth to give me a nice little wide group. Hopefully I don't blow through it, but we'll see. So I ended up blowing through, as you guys could tell, in a couple of places, but luckily this guy was here, and you can see the marks of where the weld was actually hitting and spattering. So I'm going to do a little bit of a cleanup pass on the top side, and then we'll grind it down, see what we got, and do a little bit of cleanup as we go. Alright guys, so I got the fender all cleaned up. I still have some places that I need to correct, like down in here, and then up towards the top. And you can see where the welds just haven't taken properly. But it's okay. So the joyous thing about this stuff is you can always put metal back. You know, it's not like wood where you can't put wood back after you grind it or to cut it or whatever. But with metal, you can always put metal back. And then in this case, I mean with weld. But we're actually going to do something a little different, and I'll show you a product that I use and have used in the past. So this is panel bonder, and what panel bonder is the stuff that they use to glue the Corvettes together. Basically, it's the fiberglass to the aluminum adhesive that they put in between the fiberglass panels, like the quarter panels and the rocker panels and the side skirts, to adhere them to the aluminum. So the cool thing about this stuff is you can sand it, and it's super strong. It's the same strength as steel, and basically what you do is anywhere that you feel like you can't get a weld or anything like that, or you can't weld it, you apply this stuff and it's good as welding. It is as strong as steel. So what I usually do is I use this for a lot of my seam sealers, and the reason I do that is to make sure with structural pieces that they get the best bond possible. And I know my welds are good, but when I have to do sheet metal work like this, instead of using Bondo or anything on the outside where there's going to be rocks hitting it and chipping it and everything like that, I would rather use this stuff like along this seam right here to clean up the weld. It'll give me a little bit of protection, but it also adds strength. So I always go over all of my welds as far as with sheet metal work, not structural work, but sheet metal work or reinforcement work, I should say, to make sure that it gets the proper strength that it needs to be able to perform properly. So we're going to take this stuff and put it along where all the welds are that I've done on this guy. All the seams, fill everything up, and then go on the inside and do the same thing and just let it cure. It's a 90-minute wait time or work time, and then the clamp time is 4 hours. In other words, if you glue something together and you clamp it together, then you've got 4 hours until it's tacky, and then the full cure time's 8 hours. So it takes a long time for it to fully cure, but once it does, it is rock solid hard. I mean, it's crazy of how hard this stuff gets. You actually have to use like 40 grit sandpaper and a very aggressive sander to be able to even do anything with this stuff. So I'm going to be applying this to the outside. I'm going to clean up some of the metal first with the Scotch-Brite 3M pad, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I get that done, because we're going to do it to the driver's side fender as well tonight, so that whenever we come back over the weekend or whenever I can get back to the car, it'll be fully dried. I can come back, sand it, and do what I need to do with it. Alright guys, so let me turn this off real quick. Alright, so here we go. This has the panel bonder on it. Yes, you can use it as filler. I learned it from a good friend of mine. So I got the panel bonder on there, on the front and the back, as you can see. So that'll be awesome. It'll give me even better structural support for, I'll just goose that up. Yeah, I'll be alright. It'll give me even better structural support so that whenever I do go track it or anything, I don't have to worry about the welds breaking or anything of that nature. It's just that much more of a safety precaution and that much more of a rigidity increaser. I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but basically it just helps that much more with the fender being strong, sturdy. You don't have to worry about my welds. You don't have to worry about them checking your welds on this because it's not a quote-unquote safety item. So I just want to make sure it looks as good as possible and as strong as possible. So whenever we come back and this guy's all dry, we're going to do a little sanding work on it and make it look proper. So I'm really excited to see it like this. It just means we're that much closer to completing the car. And if you guys have any questions on this stuff or how I did it or what I did it, why I did it, or my background, just shoot me a message on my Instagram and or leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer questions as quickly as I can. I've got to just leave it alone. If I don't leave it alone, I'm gonna keep messing with it. So anyways, one fender down, one to go.